Welcome everybody to Saturday of week 4 of the WREC, and things are heating up through the upper bracket. From yesterday's games, we had WREC and Na'Vi facing off, and I mean, everybody had predicted, other than me, that WREC would win, and they did eventually close things out 2-0, but Na'Vi made them work for it in the first game. Na'Vi basically only dropping an Elder Dragon buff that shattered Na'Vi's hopes, as WREC would be able to bounce back, utilizing Doom's Ziggs to great effect through that Dragon lane. And WREC looking very strong through the second game as well, closing things out 2-0 over Na'Vi. Our second series of the day was a little less close, as Formulation would team fight their way past Team Dark in incredibly strong fashion with their teamfight style we've come to know and love. We will be seeing our lower bracket teams take to the Rift once again today, and let's get into it.
Welcome to the official Riot Games Vibrant EMEA Championship.
Everybody round here know we get hype. Everybody round.
Welcome to Saturday of week 4 of the WREC. I'm Stress, joined by Carmeline and Stuart once again for hopefully more amazing games. We've had so many back-to-back days of incredible games. I'm hoping we'll continue the trend. Carmeline, we're heading into the lower bracket again today. What's your big thing that you're looking for this weekend?
Well, for this weekend and for today specifically, since we're on the lower bracket, I hope to see these teams finally popping, because many of them went out from the upper bracket with a 2-0. So I'm hoping to see a 2-1 perhaps.
Hopefully some more 2-1s. Stuart, yesterday we rounded up our top 8 of the upper bracket. Formulation and WREC advancing, as we said. These matchups coming up, Viv against Gamelord and WREC versus Formulation, those are too close to call.
They're way too close to call. Both these games are so close, and I think there's a little bit of an edge on WREC and Gamelord, but to be fair, Viv and Formulation, they've surprised a lot of people, and they're definitely the dark horses as well. Yeah,
they have indeed. Some of the teams we were expecting, whereas in the lower bracket, there are some big names down here as well, as of course Team Queso and Na'Vi were unlucky in their games. They, of course, will be taking on some of the teams that advanced in their previous week's games, who've, of course, got a lot of matchups still to play out in the lower bracket in that double elimination format. So when we look at today's games and tomorrow's, so we're all focused on the lower bracket. Some pretty interesting games here, of course, starting the day with Team Dark versus WYG's Na'Vi against Aphelion. Then we go to Queso and Blows, which unfortunately means, Carmeline, one of your teams is going to have to eliminate the other.
That's so unfair, you know.
Tragedy.
When I see this, I'm like, which team am I supposed to choose? Do I have to divide my heart for this? Is this what you're asking me to do?
Gonna have to flip a coin, however you actually want to decide it. So some important series coming up, and we're hyped for the series. We are looking forward to seeing who's going to get out ahead. We've been predicting. I've been throwing a few curveball predictions, which I know that people didn't buy from me yesterday on WREC when I was predicting Na'Vi to win. I was so close, I thought with that game 1 it was going to go so well. However, today I think a little bit more split. Some focus on Dark from Hells and Excalibur. They're holding on hope. But Stuart, we felt like Team Dark yesterday kind of underperformed a little bit. And for at least me, that's why I put my vote towards WYG's today.
Yeah, definitely. I think WYG's looked really strong in their lower bracket game before against Principality, and Team Dark really disappointed me yesterday. I was casting that game yesterday with Excalibur, and I feel like their drafting and everything as well was just a little bit lackluster, to be honest. And in the game as well, it kind of felt a bit all over the place. It felt like the communication wasn't there as well. So I'll be interested to see how they bounce back in today's first series.
I know it's not just you that'll be looking at that, but our community as a whole as well. Remember, you can get your tweets focused and picked up by us on broadcast by using the hashtag WREC. So let's take a look at what's in the community are talking about as we come into today's games. There's been a lot of discussion in general, obviously with the ongoing situation. This is something we wanted to mention earlier today. The WREC put out a tweet. Essentially, after careful consideration, the CIS group has been discontinued for Season 1. We don't have any further updates here on what that means other than the fact that EU and Turkey group play will continue as planned. So when we do have more to give you on that, we will report back. So, important news. From important news to Formulation celebrating their Wombo combo. I love the way Formulation play with their big team fight style, the Seraphine bot lane carry. I'm hoping we get to see more of that. Any other of those mages? Oh, okay. Speaking of mages, Snitch is just rubbing it in. I kind of jumped off my chair when I saw that steal yesterday. But Carmeline, like I know you and I weren't casting on yesterday's broadcast, but that Infernal steal might be the biggest moment we've had so far in Europe.
And we missed it. I mean, hopefully today won't be missing any of those plays, and tomorrow's casters will have to be like, I wasn't there to watch it and cast it. Maybe?
Well, the funny thing is, Carmeline, you missed it, Vex missed it, and for that I'm talking about the Smite. And unfortunately, that means Navi ended up dropping the series. No. Navi, I had it for you. I was trying to vote for you. Stuart, I know you're going to get ready for the rest of today's broadcast, so we'll let you head off as Carmeline and I jump into some more of our news and topics that we wanted to talk about coming into today. I think the best place for us to start really is that, we have a top 4 in the top side of the bracket. We now have 2 more Titans going down into the lower bracket. And I think we're really starting to see how these teams, like, there's not a lot of room for only one team to come out of this bracket to actually advance to the finals. I feel like it's so close across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at all these teams that have made it to the lower bracket, if you just take the lower bracket and isolate it, it could lend itself to quite a good playoffs setting already. But turns out only some of those teams will make it, because the others will be eliminated today, and tomorrow, which is this unbelievable and kind of sad to be honest to soon go.
It is a little bit sad, and it was WREC and Formulation. We've already talked about it a number of times. Let's watch some of the highlights and the tragic nature of how this game went. I think we saw a lot of really strong team fighting yesterday, and it's such an important part of the game right now, where we see a lot of these mages, we see a lot of the bruises that can have that impact across multiple team fights. But I feel like this is the edge for a team like Formulation, maybe even over WREC's, where I actually felt like Formulation's team fighting is the strongest we have in the league. How do you feel about that statement?
I don't feel the same way. I don't know, there's something about Formulation that doesn't quite sell it for me.
Interesting. Okay.
Maybe it is because I feel like they haven't reached their full potential, but I feel like, in my opinion, from my point of view, WREC's .2 will be the biggest one. The best one, if that is.
Well, we're just going to have to find out as they play more games. I think one thing that Formulation do really well is when we're talking about teamfight mages, they bring us something different. In the past, we've seen the Galio come through. Yesterday, we saw Seraphine 2 games in a row. What else is in this bag of tricks, do you think, for bot lane mages that we haven't seen already?
Well, maybe these bot lane mages, we'll see how long they last, because if you compared it between each week about these kind of champions, you can see how they've been played more and more. But I feel like they're also rotating towards the mid lane rather than just taking the top lane plays as they used to. So we'll see, because teams seem to be bringing back the AD carries.
Well, we'll see whether the AD carries take a place back in the meta. We've seen them start creeping back in with the Kai'Sa and the likes of the tank-killing AD carries. So I enjoy AD carries being played in that bot lane role. As a bot lane player myself, most of the time, I'm like, I just want to play AD carries and then hit people from a distance. So I'm looking forward to seeing whether the meta will shift. We have seen it a little bit. I want to hear from Stuart on what his thoughts are coming into our first series of the day. So Stuart, what have you got for us?
Thank very much stressed, yes, I'm going to be deep in a little bit deeper into our first series, which is Team Dark against WYGers. And we're going to talk about the bounce. Already mentioned briefly already, but Team Dark was very disappointing for most of us on the desk yesterday and for today as well. So they're going to try and look to bounce back today against a very, very strong WYGers squad. Now, take a little bit deeper look at Team Dark. Their drafts yesterday were very focused on their comfortability and kind of not really focusing on the meta itself. We saw 2 games of Kha'Zix. We saw these different champions that we haven't seen before, and it's more focused on Team Dark just being more comfortable with the champions that they want to play. But I want to see something different from them. I want to see how the flexibility of the draft is going to change. And then for WYGers as well, kind of the complete opposite of Team Dark, to be honest with you. WYGers played 10 unique champions in their game versus Principality, and they looked really, really dominant against Principality as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting how these 2 teams match up together. You got Team Dark, who likes to focus on more comfort champions, whereas WYGers, they like a bit of flexibility. Again, 10 unique champions. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how these 2 teams match up against each other. It's going to be an exciting one. Back to Stress and Calm line to get us closer to game number 1.
Thank you, Stuart. We are just getting ready for the game. Let's take a look, first of all, at the rosters between Team Dark and WYGers. So it has been a little amount of time since we've seen WYGers specifically. Of course, you saw Team Dark on WREC yesterday. So a reminder of all of the players. And it's Elegy, Sync, Shinsi, I can never remember how we're supposed to pronounce that. Mario and Juicy for Team Dark. Extreme, Fowlan, Michele, Zero, and Round. And I probably messed up a bunch of names again, but nevertheless, it's all good. Team Dark versus WYGers. I think this kind of for me is a test for Team Dark because we were expecting more out of them yesterday, and I think if they don't put up more of a fight today, I think it'll be a bit of a disappointment compared to where people had their expectations after we saw them in the first round.
Absolutely, because if you think about it, Team Dark, for me, I didn't have many expectations for them. I was like, okay, let's see how they perform. They've made it so far that for them to lose today would be such a disappointment. Now, if you think about WYGers, it was kind of the opposite. It's also true that they've had to face Spanish teams along the way, like Principality last week, which is, again, a little bit disappointing. I've seen how they performed in the Spanish League. It was kind of hinting at how they will end up, winning today. But I'm really excited to see if that's the case, if they can make it any farther, which I truly hope so.
Well, we are into picks and bans.
Hey.
The patch we are on is the same one you're on live. It's 3.0.B. And that means we're kind of expecting Yuumi. We didn't see Yuumi so much in the second series, a couple of bans here and there. Last week, we saw the Yuumi-Olaf combination come out from Team Queso, which I had a lot of fun commentating. And Olaf is off the board as well. Yesterday, Olaf was flexed over into the solo lane and basically got a ton of kills I think that was Na'Vi played it. But we're seeing a lot of presence towards Olaf, Fiora, and Galio as well taken off the board for game 1.
Yeah, champions that have been flexed by both of these teams in different lanes instead. Olaf has been played by Elegy in the past. Zed as well is a pick that can be really flexible in terms of, do we take it bot lane, do we take it support, do we want to keep it in the top lane? So once again, going to be taken off the map, but keep into account that there are several champions that have been played by these teams that are not being banned just yet, such as the Six, the Corki. Even if you think about it, champions like Garen are still open, so many things to choose from.
Yeah, lots of those power picks open. Yuumi is still available. Jace is up. Camille still available. Diana, who has seen some bans. I think Corki's a big one that you mentioned there. Kha'Zix is actually going to be the ban. So we saw Sync playing yesterday. I feel like Sync struggled a little bit to get footing on the game at times. So Kha'Zix being removed away from Sync as well is going to leave us with Gragas. That's a big flex pick left available that we didn't pick up on yet.
Okay, there we go. I mean, you still have Camille on the Rift if you want to say, if the enemy team decides to choose it. Gragas can be a great disengager for those kind of champions. But no, instead, WYG is going to be signed off with Jace, champion that they've chosen to go with. They've used it several times as well during their camp positions. I'm very excited to see what they decide to take it. Mid lane perhaps could be an option.
Yeah, Jace and Garen picked up here. So there are a few different options available where that Jace is going. Of course, we have seen Jace in the jungle as well. Just to put it out there, Some people have been trying to play Garen Yuumi in the bottom lane, and Yuumi is available. So there is a secondary flex here if they want to do it. It would, of course, depend on their follow-up. Irelia picked up. That's a matchup that we've seen into Jace a number of times. Irelia just basically concedes the early game and then says, okay, I'll fight you after I've got my ult. Generally does quite well for Irelia the later the game goes.
You should be doing well. Oh my god. Okay, Darius couldn't be missing this game. We've seen it all across every single game of every single series. It's a champion that cannot miss any games at all. A bruiser doing lots of damage and not being nerfed. So I think that's a reasonable reason for him to be picked.
And that leaves us in a situation where it's likely that Gragas is going to be in that support role. We have seen it, of course, out of the jungle from time to time, but Wygers want to say, no, we're not going to let you have a strong early game jungle in the side of Lee Sin. Jarvan taken off the board as well, as that won't be available for Fowland. So we're really starting to hit the jungle pool. When you look at it, like Olaf, Jarvan, Kha'Zix, Lee, Fiora, and Set can jungle as well. So we are diving really deep if that Jace and Gragas are not in the jungle role.
Oh. Okay, now this is a personal attack. Zone have been taken off the board. Why? Okay, you watched yesterday's games and you were like, okay, no, thank you, I don't want to face this ever again. That's not something I want to be doing. But it was usually the one who was playing this champion. So, I mean, I feel personally attacked by this. But okay, I have to buy it. Okay.
And I didn't feel like the Sona was amazingly strong yesterday. That's the Senna picked up. That's going to be fasting Senna alongside Ziggs in that bottom lane. So going for very ranged, apart from the Garen so far from Wygers, of course, Garen being melee range. Oh, it's been my favorite champion in this entire game is Ashe, because I think when she's in a situation that she is not underpowered, her team fighting and utility is basically unmatched from the carry role. And that's a Seraphine on top of it. So all about getting fights started and getting going. And the Riven picked up from the side of Wygers. That's a lot of information to take in at the end.
Okay, so on one hand, as you mentioned, you've got the Ashe and Seraphine ready with the heals, with the shields. I mean, with all the CC you've talked about. But on the other hand, you've got the Riven, which also has a shield. And I'm honestly saying two very different compositions and different to what I expected, because when you watch the games for all of these teams, you can't even get the conclusion that they are kind of similar when it comes to drafting a stage list. And then you get here and you're like, wait a second, what is this? So for Team Dark, it is quite clear, right? You've got the engage with the Seraphine, you've got the engage with the Ashe with that ultimate, then you've got the damage in Darius, and of course Bangwood's Edge and Irelia. So really good setup for team fights. Now, if you look at Wygers, you've got loads of range in 6, for example, on Xena, especially as levels go up. But you again got Garen as well. So I'm kind of thinking, okay, the AP kind of missing here for Wygers. How are they going to play this? Well, who are they going to put the emphasis on to carry this entire series? I believe in Wygers. I voted for them in the predictions. Now, I like more Team Dark's composition.
Yeah, I kind of see that Team Dark's comp is just like that. We're going to go in, we're going to go aggressive, get the fight started. Yeah. Yesterday, they struggled against Formulation because Formulation were playing things like Nunu and actually denying the engage. This time around, I don't know that they're so good disengage, and it's actually a swap around from what we were expecting. We were expecting it to be Garen in one of the solo lanes. It's actually Garen with the fasting Senna bottom lane. So we've seen this type of thing before. We have seen this lane exactly before, if I remember correctly, all the way back to last year's games. So it's not out of the ordinary from what we've seen. However, this is one area that maybe Ashe can have a little bit of prominence. that is a heavy fan vote going towards Team Dark. This normally backfires. Whenever it's like 90%, they always lose.
Stop disrespect, please. Okay. Why does it make it so far just for you to vote, just for 6% of people to vote for them? But anyways, stress. I'm not gonna get stressed out by this. I know they can win. So why don't we take a look at what's happening here in this bot lane? We've got a heal. We've got double ignite. For different lanes of Seraphine and Garen, respectively. So you can clearly see that the aggression is going to be amazing and incredible from the very beginning. Also, take a look at this. We could have an initiation here. Oh no, the minefield.
A little bit of an attempt to engage through the middle lane. The bottom lane, I've played not directly Ashe into Garen a lot, but I find like Ashe, if Garen gets on you, Ashe kind of like dies really quickly. So I wonder how that's going to go, as there's a 4-person dive attempt happening in bottom lane. Sync is going to be able to close the gap, but doesn't have his ultimate, so can't actually get the fight started.
Yeah.
No ultimates means it's really hard for Dark to actually take this, and you can see that Michele has come down to the bottom lane as well. That's a great stun though already out from Seraphine, but Zero's managed to cut a lot of the wave in this bottom lane and kind of de-push things. So little odd start, but they're trying to focus out this Garen and stop him from farming as much as they can in the early game already.
Which is a really good idea, all things considered. Although no summoners wasted during that little skirmish, which is okay, you know, as you said, no ultimate is yet, mean that you're not gonna be facing that issue just now. But look at it, I mean, the aggression potential from Seraphine plus Ashe, all the range they got to bring. Of course, they're going to be keeping Garen away from the farming, and particularly I'm having my eyes on this lane, on this mid lane between Aurelia and Ziggs. We were debating whether Ziggs was going to go bot lane. In the end, it wasn't the case, but he's got Barrier just ready in case Aurelia starts doing anything, you know. It's really good. It's a really good summoner spell in this kind of situation. Not always used. Some mid laners prefer to use Ignite, for example, like in the case of one mid, in this case of Quincy. But yeah, I really like the choice in here. And you can already see the first roamings around the map with Seraphine rotating towards the mid lane to help out a little bit there. Also quite important, the vision that they're going to have to establish all around the map. You can see the beginnings of it in the tree bash in the top lane by both teams. So these are going to be the key points for me, the victory conditions for both of them.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on those win conditions and looking whether that's how the game is going to close out. We've got neutral objectives coming up in a few minutes, well, in a few seconds, I should say, as they are swapping both bot laners to the middle lane. Everybody's focusing up towards Rift Herald, though. This is going to be a big first fight here as Fowlin has been apprehended. There's the Crystalline Arrow. It's going to set up the first kill of the game for Elegy. Doesn't, unfortunately, get the reset for him, as they would have loved to have had that as so close to getting a second one for Extreme as he was ticking down. If that execute had been available, that certainly would have been a second kill, but that is a good start from this team fighting composition now from Team Dark.
You've left Extreme without his summoner spells. We've left him without the ultimate. That's going to make it so difficult for him to go back and try to farm and recover a little bit of what's been lost in this little bit of a team fight. We can see the replay right here, how he started it out with 2 Warg's members here, and even more as they arrived. But the ultimate by Ashe was just amazing. The volley to keep it going, and the damage was just incredible on top of Extreme, who had to retreat immediately. Now, they can take the dragon, but the Herald has already been taken by Team Dark.
So, big trade of objectives there.
Yeah.
And basically going to just start the game for Dark in the way that they can siege up mid tower. Look to maybe prioritize dragons a little bit later on in the game. This composition has a pretty good ability to get fights started, and also you can never overlook Ashe's ability to kind of like secure areas of vision with that the arrow, her third ability that will kind of spot out anywhere that they need it to. In goes the Gragas looking for the engagement. Very, very squishy to start. They trade the tower for Gragas's life, and not the cleanest thing from Sync there behind the tower.
No, but instead, Wargers are going to take this time to rotate towards the mid lane. They've got Dragon in their hands already. They didn't have the Herald, but they know they can't use it anywhere. Elegy, no!
Oh, Elegy is going to drop behind the tower and will end up falling. Does get rooted. Perfect follow-up from Seraphine is going to at least trade the kill back. And something I wanted to bring up that I've noticed. And so I said I play a lot of Ashe. I generally don't do this build on Ashe, and I don't know whether it's a new one or whether it's just something I haven't seen. We'll talk about it after the replay, but that was a pretty easy pickup and a great stun. Font of Life is the rune of choice that has been taken by Mario, and I can see where it's going, because like there was a build in PC League based around Imperial Mandate, and you basically just heal up a ton off your target. So I actually now want to try this Ashe build. I always end up going like Conqueror. So it's just interesting to me that we're having a different flavor where it's based a little bit more around that. Here's the engage. They're going to go aggressive force out. The Senna ultimate can't quite close the gap for the kill. And that means for now, Fallon is going to be able to get there in time. There's damage down. Zero stays alive. And again, Sync is overreached. It's another kill on to that Gragas.
So there was something interesting going on in here where Senna's ultimate was able to push teammate outside Vanguard's edge, which was really useful in this case because they were able to turn things around. But of course, you lose your tower, the second one of the game for your team. You get the chance to take this one top lane, just, you know, since you didn't have an enemy top lane, they ran out to contest it. But this means that Team Dark are going to be able to read what you're doing right now. You've got Inferno Dragon coming up. They've got to control the inferior lane of the map. They've got the control of that riverside. So I think this is a good time not only to retreat and rethink how you're going to go about things, but also get that good vision going. You've got Seraphine roaming around because Wargers right now, look at it. The interior Herald surrounding zone is controlled by them with the many wards they've gone there. And, you know, vision can win games, so you never know.
It can, and this is why Ashe is one of my favorite picks, because the number of times that your team blindly walk places in solo queue, whereas Ashe, you're like, oh, I think they're doing Baron. I'll just check. Already used the arrow all the way through the top side of the jungle, and then the scrying orb as well. So making sure they have at least vision behind the Rift Herald. But as you said, there's so many wards already for WYGers that are in behind Team Dark already that it's going to be a little hard for Dark to do anything around here. Ashe is in that middle lane, does have the arrow loaded and ready to go. Ooh. Good damage coming out from Sync. Will at least push Wygers back for a moment, and Team Dark are going to try and cut up through the top side of the river and get that rift started.
Yeah, it seems like this time both teams want to take the same objective, in this case Herald, but Wargers doesn't have the best positioning for it. There we go.
Good damage from Ziggs, but the perfect Seraphine ultimate is going to at least charm up a bunch of people and keep them in place. In goes Irelia, but one mid has already fallen, trying to get Elegy into the fight. Does have his ultimate back available again. That's another kill over to this carry Seraphine. It's 2, and the Seraphine, we saw it yesterday from Formulation and Team Dark, so say you made this, we made this, playing that Seraphine alongside Ashe.
Oh, that hurts, you know. Oh, wait.
Oh,
what?
Can't let that happen. You can't, like, standing next to the honey fruit as well. Feels like that was a little bit greedy on the side of Team Dark, and now they're going to have to forgo the dragon for it.
Yeah, well, we've got it here, we've got 6 ultimate, and as you can see, Wargers' mistake was getting right in line, perfect for Vanguard set from Irelia to arrive, and not only that, but also to be line for,
Chase took the dragon, and it's going to be a disengage. There comes the crystalline arrow. Nope, not going to be able to curve the arrow to make it hit, but at this point, Team Dark, they should have the Rift Herald, if I remember correctly, so they should be able to drop that somewhere and get things going.
Okay, so, well, at least the only asset that Team Dark is missing right now is Ashe's Crystal Enchanted Arrow. So, for the rest of things are perfectly ready. We can see here Senna's stats here with the build Black Cleaver already in her power, in her possession. She's got it there for that extra damage. But the thing that's worrying me right now is how can they come from this? Because it might just seem like a lot. Just 2k behind in gold, 2 dragons in Wargers' favor.
Ooh, but that actually hit. Oh, into the... I don't know whether you needed all 3 ultimates there, but they'll be back up available soon. But that was a bit of overkill from Team Dark to pick up that kill.
A little bit, just a little bit stressed, let's be honest. It was like... that was overcooked, it was burned. That was like when you cook something and then you're like, yeah, okay, let's cook it 5 more minutes just in case. Mountains have been burned and crispy and ashy. But anyways, talking about ashy, in this case, Mario playing ashy, you can start to see the optimization here with the Manamine as well. And the Font of Life thing you were talking about before reminded me that Brown was the one using Font of Life most frequently in past patches in Wild Rift. Then I guess it's been used more and more nowadays. It's quite a good tool. And talking about tools, Six building his right here in the mid lane to prevent being attacked by Team Dark. So right now, Waga's strategy is a 1-3-1. But you've got two duelists, one top lane, one the bot lane, trying to split push, and three people in the mid lane trying to protect the rest from this that is about to happen.
Wygers are trying to get a fight started. It was actually Wygers that had the Riftchild. Apologies, I had missed that during the previous fight. And they're going to try and set it up through mid lane and try and get that turret down. They need another 100 or so damage. There you go, got it. And they would have had the Ziggs satchel charge anyway if they wanted to shut it down. Good Seraphine ult's going to hold them in place. And look at the damage coming through as LG's going to try and get into the fight. Can't quite get there at first. Gets that execute. No, he doesn't. This is Ash that gets the kill credit. LG just having one of those games on Darius where you're like, I've got it, guys. I've got everything. And you don't get the reset. Tragic. But Team Dark will be able to take a kill. However, they lose their mid lane tower for it.
Well, I mean, I'd like something, saving it, but we can see it here with Mario and using free trouble right there with the Herald. You will think they will do well, but Extreme became extremely isolated, and in the meantime, the rest of his teammates couldn't run away fast enough. So therefore, that's what you're seeing right now, but at least, hey, they saved the tower, that's something. And the next move that I'm expecting from both teams, one is taking the mid lane for Team Dark. And again, this split pushing routine for Wagers, it's the only thing you can really do now when you're mid lane at 6. So in this case, Michele is so far behind. Fallen isn't having the best of games here with the Edge of the Night in his power already. You're not doing this scaling as good as you could be doing it. You're having issues here and there all over the map. Many open spots for Team Dark to take. So you just need to group up together. Oh, that ultimate.
Yeah, it's going to hit on to Senna. And LG again, his ult goes on cooldown. This time he's going to have none of it and go right behind the turret and try and stay alive. Nearly outplays him, does Fowlin. But at this point, Wygers, they've lost 3 in exchange for getting that kill onto Elegy, and now Elegy is going to have to respawn for a potential dragon fight. Stun does land, and in goes one mid, trying to make this work. It's so funny to me that Team Dark have just basically taken what Formulation did yesterday with the Aurelia, with the team fighting bot lane. Kind of funny to me how that's worked out.
I mean, you're laughing. I'm sure Wagers are suffering right now because look at this, being cool by Seraphina being amazing, and also Elegy being fearless. He's getting on the turret. You said it before, Darius got it all under control. He gets killed in the end, but doesn't matter because what he's accomplished is way more than they could bargain for. So with 10 kills, 4 kills ahead of Wagers, 1 dragon and 2 turrets, you would think things will be going in the favor, but somehow Wagers has been able to take things away from this, like in this case a kill, etc. But look at this, because things don't seem to have ended. Right now things are going to be about team fighting finally, which is a good setup for Team Dark as we've seen. And there we go once again, Stress.
Yeah, it's going to be important for Team Dark to break this middle lane, and you can see how difficult it is against Ziggs. Just clears the wave, throws out the bombs, throws out anything that he needs in order to clear it. I think that's been the one saving grace potentially for Wygers, is the stun does lock 2 in place, and flash forward, catches 2, catches the damage, and they're so very low, but they haven't been able to get the kill for Team Dark, and in goes Sync. Sync is going to drop, and it's too much overextended behind the tower. That was a perfect start to the fight, but this is not enough damage to follow up and finish off some of these kills for Team Dark.
yeah, they can opt for something else since right now both Yeezy and Mario are full life. One mid is here roaming in the top lane, wave clear, you know, making sure his team can get the trio when it comes next to a top lane tower. And in the meantime, as Waga are deciding to do the same, but in the bot lane in this case, is leave the wave a little bit pushed, entertain Team Dark in the meantime, and then rotate towards the mid lane to keep on pushing, to keep getting a little bit more pressure on the map. But I mean, not all the ultimates are up, particularly when it comes to Wargers. They'll be up in a few seconds, so it's not the best time to fight for them. Kind of worried about the state right of the team right now, stressed, because even though they get little victories here and there, they don't seem to be making the most out of it. And if they want to win this game, they're gonna need to go through Seraphine, for example, main champion they have to go through. Like in this case, they say it here.
Yeah, but the thing is, Wygers, they can put damage down from a really far distance. That apprehend was beautiful.
Whoa.
Didn't even need the arrow to hit. What a play from Elegy. He gets 2 kills for the team to start this off, and now that they can push this through in the middle lane and has that ultimate available, they basically have everything other than the Seraphine and the Ashe ult up, so they can continue going here. That couldn't have gone better from that apprehend for Team Dark.
It was so good. I mean, another mistake here made by Wargers, just hiding both of you behind a wall together.
One mid's going to jump out of the bush and try and take a 1 versus 3. Does get punished for it, though, by Garen. And Zero's going to try and cut around the top. They need to rush this down. Still 3,000 health on it. Fallon is there, but he's on such little health. Trying to get over the wall. Can't get it. It's smited by Sync. And that means Team Dark will have the Baron buff, and Wygers are going to have to run away. Garen, can he escape the Ashe? Flash forward just to get those slowing abilities, and, well, I should say auto attacks, followed up with the volley to be able to get the kill. And Team Dark, it was on a little bit of a knife's edge there for a moment, but they will get the Baron and look to continue having control of this game.
This is where Font of Life comes in really handy. Well, you can see here the setup for the last team fight, in which, I mean, clearly that double kill was so easy, as you said, with the apprehend. Both of them just getting double kill there, and then being really easy to chase out, given that Garen's speed is not, movement speed is not the best at this point in the game. Jace can do a little bit better with the barrier, you know, to keep the enemies at bay, but this was about to be taken by, I was about to call them WREC. Oh my gosh, by Team Dark. And then the Baron was kind of free. The amount of damage he had to just lower it down was kind of easy. They just sent off a really die over there, but for the rest of it was quite easy. Zero getting the team fight alone.
Oh, we're back into another fight. As you can see, Zero's trying to go aggressive on some Seraphine and trying to shut him down. Elegy is going to be able to split the fight up a little bit, and Extreme has found himself caught out. That's a big volley. Is going to at least hold 2 people in place, and at this point, Mario is going to turn the damage up. Ashe not known for her damage at the beginning of the game, but I'll tell you what, once she gets a few items, she can make it work. But Fallon's going to shut down Ashe. That's going to be all 5 members of Wygers dead, and Team Dark have the Baron buff to continue pushing through. So Team Dark will be taking the first game of this series 1-0 against Wygers, basically taking the composition they lost to almost yesterday.
Whoa. Okay. I'm impressed with Team Dark's ability to close the game in 90 minutes versus an enemy that seemed to be stronger, like Wygers. I mean, stronger in comparison to what they've been facing past 8. So we'll see if that keeps going on for the next game, but I hope Wygers kind of awaken, because mid-game for them was really told. They couldn't make it out alive. The team fights were disastrous. So come on, give us something.
Yeah, I'm just going to be completely blunt and say I just don't like the composition that Wygers were running. I think there's too few tools of engages to get engages started, and you don't have the same zone control that Formulation were playing, like where you had a Nunu so that it was like, if you try and engage on us, we can stop you. This is just like a number of squishy carries and a Garen where you're like, well, I guess they're just going to engage on us from super long range and we can't do much. I was wondering whether there was more to it that we would see in the game. Unfortunately not. I think Wygers did a really good job when they could land their damage of taking kills from fights and taking objectives where they could. They actually contested a lot of the early game objectives, but I just feel like that they didn't have enough utility to actually do much. outside of getting engaged upon and hoping you can survive through.
Yeah, as opposed to Team Dark having more of a classic composition, it allows you to deal all the damage from the back lane, you know, like the Ashe and the Seraphim were barely touched throughout the game. They could just keep on, spamming abilities without any kind of consequence because Vargas wasn't able to get to them, which it's a pity because, again, I've seen how well Vargas can play and I've seen how well they can execute this composition. They are not doing it today, so please recover for the second game. For the time being, we've got here the scoreboards. Okay, Elegy is breaking, entire thing, but for me, Yuzi is perhaps best one in this game.
Absolutely. 6-0 and 11, most gold in the game on Seraphine support. Building full AP as well. Why not? Who even needs support items? I mean, Ashe was practically the support in this game. Highest damage, highest gold. Got it. That's all they needed from that Seraphine. I like watching this game. I like this team fight style, like when you have champions like Ashe and Seraphine that can actually get fights started. We'll see whether Team Dark can kind of run it back with the same kind of composition in the next game, or whether WYGers will turn it back around. I think this is a really odd draft in general out of both teams. There was a lot of high priority picks that either fell through the draft, and we saw like 6 junglers banned out, and it kind of forced Fowler onto the Jace that they had picked up early. So I want to see what other changes will come in, before game 2.
Well, we'll see, but I'm really excited to see them. I want something new.
I want something new as well. Before we get to game 2, we need to check out our play of the game and see what pivotal moment of the game turned it around. Probably coming off a Seraphine ult is my guess. It might even be that Apprehend.
Do you think it's going to be that in Cool? Okay,
It was
the combo and Cool plus Bungle Setch all together. Yes, indeed, I agree with you in this one. It was quite a good play, getting them so many kills, but most importantly, getting them control of this team fight and leading to the end of the game as well. So, well deserved, indeed.
Yeah, big play of the game coming from Juicy Seraphine. I like watching Juicy Seraphine. Like, let's see if we have it again. Sono was banned in game number 1. We'll see whether that happens in game 2 as well. Of course, when we come back in a handful of minutes' time, we are still watching through Team Dark versus WYGers. One of these teams will be eliminated following this matchup. We'll see whether Team Dark can close it out 2-0, whether WYGers can come back and make it a 2-1 series.
Ready?
Welcome back, everybody, to day 2 of week 4 of the Wild Rift EMEA Championships. I'm Stress, joined by Carmeline, and that was a fun and interesting game, number 1 between Team Dark and WYG. We saw a little bit of a swap up on the Ashe and the Seraphine. Seraphine going to the carry for Juicy, kind of throwing everything. A little bit craziness there, Carmeline. I struggle to keep up a little bit when recognizing everything on the map on that game.
It was a trap. You know, I mean, you watched at the composition and you're like, oh yeah, of course, I'm gonna play this straight up, and then they didn't.
Well, we're going to keep our eyes for any other swapping shenanigans coming through in game 2, which we'll be getting to in just a handful of minutes. First of all, though, it's time for a lesson. It's time for some macro lessons from Stuart. We're looking all the way back to last week's games between Gamelord and Team K. So, Stuart, let's go through a little bit more macro.
Thank you very much, Stress. Yes, we're going back all the way to Sunday for Team Queso versus Gamelord. This was in the first game as well. Very, very close series overall, as you can tell at this point of the game. 30 minutes in, score and everything is pretty much dead even. The one thing I want to focus on as we roll this clip is kind of the overextension of Team Queso. You can see that Mephinork jumps in very early to try and catch out the Nami, and you'll see Andreas also tries to jump in as well. So a little bit of miscommunication. Now the Nami wave of Heste was able to delay the engage of Team Queso, and this kind of started the counter engage for Gamelord. You can see that Andreas, because he's jumped in, he's now isolated, and Redemption is able to do a lot of damage, and you see the package that goes across the whole team as well, which forced Andreas to flash away as well. This kind of separates the whole team as well. And whilst this all happened, Veos was on the side in the mid lane the whole time. And you can see that he's trying to flank now, trying to jump onto Heste into the back line. But the most important thing here is the exhaust. The exhaust from Redemption here, mostly played on AD carries now on the exhaust, is able to deny Redemption and deny Veos, and keep Redemption alive. So that's it for Swatcher for this week. Back to Stress and Carmeline to get us into game number 2.
I baited you all in thinking we're having a macro lesson. We're having a team fighting lesson with Stuart. There's so many fundamentals we're going to have to go through and just keep our eye on how the best teams do it. So that was an incredible series between Gamelord and Team Queso last week, and we're in the middle of a fun series between Team Dark and WYG. Make sure you get your votes in chat and let us know who you think is going to win. Team Dark had like 94% of the vote in game 1, much to Carmeline's dismay, I guess is one way of putting it. But as we head into picks and bans, what do you want to see change for the game 2, Carmeline?
Can I change everything? Just every single thing we saw with the past game, please? Thank you. I'm hiding my pain behind my smile, but I'm suffering right now. No, actually, Vargas, please. You've got so many good picks. You've been playing Darius 2 times in the past 3 games. Can we please get more of that instead of you playing compositions that don't really make that much sense? Thank you very much. But for now, we're getting with the bans. We've got Garthix being banned. A pick that Tholin has played in the past, but you want to take away from Sync. So, okay, goodbye, creature from the void.
Yeah, you can see how Sync wants to play as well. Even on the last game in Gragas, he's like, I'm just going to dive all the time. So taking away the champions that don't die when you do that and can jump out effectively, going to be a little bit better from the side of Dark. So looking at it, Gragas has been banned on that red side. We've also had Olaf, Kha'Zix, Morgana, and Fiora taken away. Jace is up. We saw so many bans towards jungle in the first game that I'm wondering whether we'll see more. We already have had 3 or potentially 4 here, as well as Galio is going to be the last remaining ban. So we've got the Jace, the Camille, the Garen, Yumi is up available. Camille is going to be the first pick for WYG.
Okay, finally, thank you for choosing Camille for the one time. Now we've got a new pick here for Team Dark, which is going to be Red Hand. They played Sona, they played Galio, but we haven't seen them play Red Handless in this competition. So we'll see what they pair him up with. There are many choices still in the Rift. but that's going to be it for them for now, as well as Lee Sin.
Yeah, Lee Sin for Sync, I like it. I like that it's another one of those picks that can go aggressive. However, Wygers right now have 3 exceptionally strong picks when you look at how the meta has been. We've seen so many Corki bans, we've seen a bunch of set bans, we've seen a lot of Camille bans as well. So like, I feel like there's been a lot of strength given over to Wygers. The last pick is going to be Team Dark's Elegies Darius, which is harder to say than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, Darius picked up for Team Dark.
Why leave it open? Why did you leave it open? Why, guys? Was it needed? What did you really need to leave it open? You didn't. But in any case, I mean, at least they banned it to Thresh, so no call for Thresh bot lane anymore. Okay, I mean, but you let Darius go. Really, like, I can't get past with that one. I'm hoping they choose wisely. Come on, ban something that we can understand. We feel like, okay, there we go. Seraphine, I accepted, but she wasn't going to go support anymore. Well, support carry like in the last game. So okay, I'll buy it. I'll accept it.
Yeah, that was the thing. Despite the fact that it was technically, Juicy, the support player for Team Dark, it was, of course, the Seraphine that was farming and doing most of the carrying. So Yuumi banned, Orianna banned as well. So trying to take away a lot more presence on that bottom lane, Orianna. And that Corki can kind of go both between mid and bot. Now we get to see where Team Dark go. Probably AD carry here, unless they can blind pick a safe mid laner. But I think Varus makes total sense. Just it's strong, it's good in the early game, it's good for team fighting as well. So we'll be able to pick that up.
I think Team Dark are playing the game with, let's choose things that we haven't played for the entire WREC today. Let's go instead with things that formulation game and played it yesterday instead. So Boris is a good pick, I think. He's got the range, he's got the poke, he's gonna work quite well with the Rakan. But as a counter, we've got Brown on the Rift. We've seen what Brown can do with this Glacial Fissures, that ultimate. So I'm very excited to see finally some engaged coming from Wygers.
Yeah, on the side of Wygers, though, now they have to decide, is it going to be mid lane or is it going to be bot lane? Team Dark needs some magic damage to round out their composition. They have Darius, they have Varus, they have Lee Sin already, so wouldn't be surprised to see something like an Ahri. Zed is going to be the mid lane pickup here. Fizz would be one option for Team Dark if they want to pick it up. And Diana's open, of course. So Diana, a pick that has been banned out a lot of times here in the WREC. Now going to find her way into that middle lane matchup. We've seen how good she can team fight in yesterday's series.
I'm very excited. Duel of Axion's in the mid lane. We've got consistent top laners, even Darius and Camille. But no. Zed will be the top laner here, right? Makes sense.
I'm guessing it's Camille top lane, set jungle is my guess.
Could be. But it of course be
could be either way.
Set bot lane if they want to innovate a little bit. Okay, well, I guess I'm seeing what you're trying to propose here. Now, rotate the set to the bot lane. It'll be more interesting. But, well, in any case...
I don't think they're going to put set in a bottom lane. Maybe I'm not
alone,
seeing something. But,
leave me alone. I want to believe.
I feel like Corki Braum is the heavy option for bot lane, unless there's something different.
I'm proposing something to them. I want them to follow with what I'm saying.
I don't know that I would really ever want to play a melee matchup into Varus, especially not into like Varus Rakan. But
I want to believe.
Okay, well, we'll see when they load into the game exactly where everything is going to go. I think the setup from Team Dark is a little bit more standard than what we've seen. Yeah. There's kind of like a move away from what Formulation was doing, which is still fine. Like, I don't see a problem with it at all. Like, Varus is a consistently strong bot lane. The side of Team Dark, I think they got, Wygers, I should say, got a massive amount of power picks in this game, and they're already finding Elegy. That's not your side of the rift. This looks like they 5-person stacked topside and waited in a bush.
Come on, you're taking way too long to chase this person. There we go. The shield activated, the passive activated for Camille for Fallen right here. In the end, we've got set top lane Camille jungle. We don't have said bot lane, which is kind of sad. But well, but we do have the rotation in the top lane we were expecting to see. And in the meantime, okay, Chad, what's going on here? Okay, let's get serious, right? What does it even mean? 25%?
Sync's gone in. Sync's going to actually contest, but doesn't really get it. I think that Fowlin's still got the blue buff. Yes, Sync took red, went to blue buff. Now it's Michele.
Michele.
A little bit of trouble in mid lane. Does manage to get under their own tower and get the honey fruit. But very aggressive starts this game by Team Dark, trying to kind of bounce back off that first blood that went over to WYGers.
You've got this typical playstyle that is being implemented in these leagues in which you've got a jungler and the mid laner apply lots of pressure in the early game. Oh my gosh, right there with the mark on top of extreme as well. That is being implemented with lots of roaming from the very beginning of the game. In the meantime, you can also see Fowlin with the Camille rotating towards that mid lane, top lane. You know, she's going to be giving loads of credit, loads of autonomy to both Corki and Braum down the bot lane. It's a confident top bot lane that can deal well on its own, kind of independent, if you may. So it can make complete sense. This is the way they're wanting to play it. Now, careful with Sync, because we've seen he's not afraid to dive deep into the junglers, into the jungle side of the enemy team. And that's something that we can foresee causing loads of trouble for WYGers.
It's funny, you mentioned how Corki Braum should be able to handle things on their own. Meanwhile, there's a top lane engage. Is going to be Juicy's come up here. That's a big shield onto Set. It's keeping him alive for just long enough, but Elegy does pick it up. Now has access to the ultimate. Can't quite get anybody low enough and doesn't get the kill off that. And now Juicy's in a little bit of trouble. He's going to have to try and pick up a kill, but is nowhere near to do it. And Team Dark, yes, they get one kill, but they lose 2 for it.
Okay, so there we saw it. The first play of the game for them. 3 kills versus 1 for Team Dark. Good start for WYGers, good start for the Spanish team. But now you've got Zero alone in here with Sync and Mara chasing. Woo!
I thought that was going to go wrong for a moment there, but Sync does manage to pick up the kill, does also now have access to his ultimate as well. And that might mean that Round is in trouble. Doesn't connect the Sonic Wave. Here comes Juicy, though, into the back of the lane. There's the Chains of Corruption. Should be an easy setup, even with Braum being quite tanky. Sync is going to pick up a kill and even up the kill score, 3 kills to 3.
Well, that was certainly something. I mean, as I told you, Camille will be focusing more on the top lane, mid lane. We've got instead Sync. You know, Darius should be faring well enough on his own. And yes, retain towards the bot lane where there's more action incoming. Poor Zero, he's been chased dead.
Has been pushed out of lane 3 times already. It's something I wanted to comment about already. In the 2 versus 2, Mario and Juicy had bullied Zero and Round all the way out of the lane at level 2. They got themselves a laning advantage and have just constantly hammered through this bottom lane. Like Team Dark putting so much focus against Zero and Round to try and shut this Corki out. Corki's the only source of magic damage in this entire composition. So if there's a way that Team Dark can get a little bit of magic resist and stop some of the extra damage, sorry, I was going to say armor, and stop some of the damage coming from Zero, then they should be able to survive through a lot of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Also taking into account, if you look at the scoreboard, you can see how the only WYGers player, well, I'll tell you about it later, because right now they seem to be wanting to kill the Round, which is not going to be the case in the end. 1 mid.
1 mid is not in a good spot. Had used the ultimate already, had used Ignite and the Flash, and Juicy has been at least spotted Round on the way here. That's 3 versus 2 if they were to go aggressive here. Juicy's going to go in over the wall. Rift Herald was taken, though, by Sync, so they're able to pose a little bit of a distraction for now. Chains of Corruption gets flashed. We'll take that trade on the side of Team Dark all of the time.
So I was saying that something I'll tell you later. Team Dark doesn't want me to speak. I see. Okay. Team Live Carmela in the dark. No, but I mean, what I was saying, essentially the only teammate that is ahead gold when it comes to WYGers is Michele. The rest of the gold advantage goes over to Team Dark's members, and that clearly indicates that there's an issue going on with the Spanish team. You are not performing as well in all the lanes. Oh my gosh.
Fowlin tries to go in, can't quite get the steal off on the Drake, and will trade his life for it. That is another big pickup for Team Dark.
It is indeed. And now look at them rotate towards the bot lane right there to get that extra wave clear push in there with the bot lane. They could get the first tower of the game for themselves. In the meantime, WYG is contesting with the mid lane. Oh, Extreme about to die right there.
Yeah, charging up, piercing arrow. Oh, Extreme. Extreme, you can't walk closer to the wall. That basically makes it impossible to dodge. In goes Juicy, gonna set up the Chains of Corruption as well. Can't quite convert it though, as Elegy now in a lot of trouble behind enemy lines. And Juicy will be able to blast cone his way out. That actually puts Mario in a really tough situation. He picked up 1 kill against the Brawn, but meanwhile Sinkus is playing PvE on the side. Is gonna drop Rift Herald and look for top lane tower.
Yeah, the first tower was taken by Team Dark, the second one will be taken by them as well. But we've got the skill right in here in the bot lane. 1 versus 1. Michaela trying to heal himself. But hey, Diana way too strong, a good duelist in there. Fallen about to die as well. What's going on in this game? 6 minutes in, 6 kills for each team. What is this?
It is a game of Wild Rift. Is 6 minutes, 6 kills per team. That's how we like to play it. A little bit quicker, a little bit faster. Got to get aggressive plays going. And 1mid, I think, is one of the players I'm keeping my eyes on from Team Dark. That I feel like when I'm watching Team Dark, Sync and 1mid go aggressive no matter what the cost is.
Yep.
Which against like the top teams has really punished them. But against teams that perhaps make a comparable number of mistakes, like it seems to work quite effectively. They're always trading up at all times of the game. They're like, okay, we'll at least take the advantageous trade.
Yeah, and that's gonna cost them a lot. So in this game, it might allow them to make it out alive, but as you said, against bigger teams, not going to be the case. And now look at them run. The move speed is not as big as they would like it to be. This allows Team Dark to have a window in here open for themselves to again wave clear a little bit and then keep on pushing on the enemy jungle like you were seeing with Diana and listening right there. As I said, 1mid and Sync, risking many things is to get 1 kill, even if it's this 1 kill will, secure them at least an objective. Soon the Herald is about to be on the Rift. They got no issue in invading the enemy jungle. Warding that, look at the vision all around the map by WYG as well. I think that's one of the strongest points for this team. So let's see if that can keep them alive.
Dark are going to push down this mid lane tower. Chains of Corruption to land. Only 100 health left on the tower as they will push it through. Now they're going to go aggressive behind the tower with the Dragon's Rage and look for a second kill here. Varus has picked up a kill and they're going to continue this push as they rotate round towards Rift Herald. That's going to be the death mark popping Elegy, and it will be enough to pick up the kill. That fight was without WYG going back and picking up the package as well. So they may be able to contest this Rift Herald a little bit stronger than they would have done previously. So this is the beginning of that fight around mid tower.
Yeah, we're seeing that right now. We see the bombs arriving from Corky. And then you've got there in the tower. Once the tower is out, there isn't damage coming anymore for WYG besides the ones that they've got. And Juicy manages to go and leave alive by barely.
Oh, package goes in. Chains of Corruption will hit, and that will spread on to 2 at least. In goes 1mid. No ultimate available, but it doesn't matter yet. Those piercing arrows can deal damage from afar from the side of Mario, and they will pick up that Rift Herald.
Well, that's another 1 point for Team Dark. Chasing Zero now. Zero has to turn around, try to kite a little bit to keep the enemies at bay. But then again, not having many choices in here, do they? WYG is being cornered into their own towers. 3 towers down already. That means that they're going to have to play real safe.
Uh-oh. Mario, actually, that deathmark damage is not going to do enough as he was able to flash away. Juicy was there as well to protect him. So that's a big cooldown used for Michele as there's a dragon about to start. Like, I actually think that probably means that WYG can't contest his Drake.
No, they are definitely going up for the top lane and mid lane instead. They're going to try to take something out of there. But the dragon goes down fast enough so that, well, they don't have time to do basically anything. They're going to try to save the bot lane tower. But Team Dark seems to be focusing on this one objective. So let's see if they can take not.
Juicy couldn't connect on the Rakan knock-up there. Was looking to try and pressure out and start a fight. Now it's mid lane as 1mid is going to go in. Zero has already dropped to begin this one off, and it feels a little bit like Team Dark taking too much control here, and the Wygers don't have many options available to fight back into it. They're going to be able to push through this bot tower as well. No real push available onto the inhibitor unless they get that connection off the Varus ultimate. Juicy tries to go in. Now we'll dash back out. Hextech Ultimatum is going to lock him in place, but it's actually Wygers that are going to end up getting the kills here. It's a double kill for one mid already as Elegy picks up one for the fight for himself. And there's not enough minions to continue this push all the way through, but it will be the inhibitor tower going down. Surely, you got to finish it. You got to get it. Yeah, Juicy's going to get it and push down that inhibitor as Team Dark will take the first inhib of the game.
They've taken 3 towers in one play. That's what Team Dark have done. You see here how they managed to enter the enemy base. The Glacial Fissure not doing much. Hextech Ultimatum as well, cornering the enemies right under the tower. And then it's so easy to pick the kills of Wygers. Right there, even with the ultimates up, there's nothing they can really do. The Valkyrie by Cork is still being up as well. You forgot Zed dying with his ultimate up. I mean, once again, Wygers being let kind of useless, kind of helpless, I'd say. And the story will repeat itself. Michaela trying to get a 1 versus 1 kill onto the enemy team, onto a key member like Sync, but not getting it, therefore rebuilding his position to them. And now, well, Team Dark knows what to do.
Yeah, Varicel goes through. Juicy wasn't able to connect in the way he wanted to. One of the problems that Michele has is the fact that 4 members of Team Dark have their stasis and have had it for a little while as well. So he can't really find Mario, can't find one mid either. So he's just trying to throw it out to just get damage onto anyone that he can before these fights happen. Problem is, they just heal it back up. They just kind of weather the storm and eat the damage, and it doesn't do enough to actually pick up a kill. Apprehend comes through. That's a big pull through, though, for Extreme, and it's top side that we're looking for this fight, as they're just going to rain damage down from Mario on this Varus.
I was looking closely at the Haymaker by Extreme.
In goes Juicy, gets a big charm. Chains of Corruption is going to deal the damage, or at least set them up to deal the damage as well. That will be a big pick-off for Michaela, though, as they will take down one mid and Juicy. I think now is where Mario's in trouble because his stasis, was it available? Doesn't look like it. And that's the second kill. Now Zed managing to get a little bit of impact on this game.
Yes, I think the only one with a decent 2 summoners alive, up. LG not having any summoners and also having struggles healing up himself. And this is going to be the perfect window for Wygers to try and take the Varren, even though it's going to be quite slow.
A tiny window. Fowlin's health is too squishy. And Zero wasn't there to help either. But this is the fight that Team Dark may be overextending here.
Yeah, you can see that Sync and Ellie are going to be left quite low on life. There they go under the turret, and this was not the best choice by Yuzi. I feel like trying to disengage under the one tower that is still going on and still active was costing them their lives, not giving them many exit options, like in this case. So yeah.
Oh wow, Corky's dead already. Juicy had found Fowlin, and now they're going to just push through on the middle lane. Is Mario going to be forced to stasis? I don't have the read on whether it's available now. And here comes the Hextech Ultimatum into the backline from Fowlin. Played perfectly and very patiently. And actually, this is Wygers starting to hold for a moment. Elegy, the ultimate reset is not available as Fowlin is ticking and does die right before he was able to get on to the fountain. And that hemorrhage stack just bleeding him dry. And now Elegy will be taken out as well. A big, like, the overextensions at the end of these fights are really punishing Team Dark. Sync is going to go aggressive, and they're going to look to just take the kill onto Extreme if they can get there. But here comes Round into the fight. Now it's Round that's in trouble, but Michele is going to try and play defense here. And you can see, do they even know that Rakan is there now? Of course they will, as Juicy will reveal themselves. And a little bit of miscommunication from Sync and Juicy, as Sync led them to Juicy as Juicy was trying to recall. Now Sync is dead. Team Dark, this is like, they're falling apart with the 10k gold lead. It's just very, very scrappy.
I just feel like the team fights are going on for way too long. Like, they know how to close them. They start a team fight, they get 2 kills, and they're like, we need more kills. Okay, so we're going to be not only run away, but turning around when you could be run away and just back in again. And here we go again. It's never ending, is it?
Not with the package up as well, as Zero will have that available. Yeah, there have been objectives available at the end of these fights, and Team Dark is just like, we can finish the game when they actually can't.
This one time. We've been trying for 3 times in a row now.
One mid was trying to get the blue buff, did just about get it, but now he's getting hunted by Extreme, and Zero is one mid aggroed the Baron.
What's it doing?
Did he?
What is it doing?
I'm at a loss for words. I mean, I guess they're just starting the fight a little bit as Elegy has flanked here and drew them in behind enemy lines. However, look, Fowlin and the rest of Wygus are able to put damage out, and that's one mid dropping incredibly low. Set will get the pullback on Elegy. Can they get the damage through as the Chains of Corruption haven't really bought the time that Mario was hoping for? Sync is in the mix. His Guardian Angel got popped at the end of the last fight, though, remember it. However, Fowlin is very low. He needs to hookshot his way out if he can. Doesn't get the distance that he was looking for. Will get hit by Varus. One auto attack. It's not. It's the piercing arrow that is going to do it. Team Dark are going to end this game here if Mario stays alive, but at what cost? Because this has been a very scrappy game. Michele can't quite get it. Does get the kill, but the game will end. Team Dark advance 2-0 through the lower bracket, but they did not make that look easy.
I mean, it was good in one hand that they were able to end the games in 90 minutes and like 60 minutes. But on the other hand, what was that? Like, if you look at the games in retrospective, I really doubt they can be happy with what they've done. It was so convoluted. Like, every time they had a chance to get a kill, they had to make it so difficult for themselves that they ended up backfiring. And in the end, I feel like this was won because Wygus kind of lost the direction that they were going in, rather than because Team Dark were better.
Yeah, I feel like Team Dark, when they're playing aggressive and they're ahead, I think that they can make it work. But like we saw at the end of this game, like there are just fights that they're continuing to take and basically like fighting no matter the cost. And it just isn't clean in the way that you want to see from a team that are taking a 2-0 victory. And I hate to rag on Dark in this way, but I think compared to, for instance, their opponents yesterday in Formulation and some of the other teams that we've seen, like that's kind of the difference. And I think where some of the expectation doesn't match up with Dark. Like I think a lot of the broadcast team have high hopes for Team Dark, and it's just not quite clean enough for me to buy into that in the same way personally. Which
means we're gonna give them the point in the prediction. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm establishing this new rule: if the team you're supporting underperforms, then the other person gets the point.
That's not a rule. We're not implementing that. That's not going to be a thing. I think that for Wygus, of course, this will be the last time that we're seeing them in this open bracket. They likely, I will imagine, will be in the last chance qualifier should they choose to enter that. And I think there's some promise from Wygus. I think that in their games we have seen some good performances, like the way that they were kind of punishing Team Dark's overextension. I think if Team Dark at the end of this game weren't 10k gold before all of these fights, I think Michele on this Zed and Zero, if with a little bit more time, would have been able to perhaps turn this fully back around. I just think they were too far behind from the early game to actually kind of convert the comeback.
Absolutely, you can see right here, he was the team member for Wygus that dealt the most damage right there. But I mean, basically Team Dark overcomes them in every single aspect. In most of the cases, you see there one mid with 25k of damage, same with 19k, almost 20k, and Mario with 22k. I feel like they were really showing that through the team fights. Even despite very extended team fights, you can see it here that they were superior to Wygus in object taking, in kills, in basically every single aspect of the game.
That's the start of the game we saw from Wygus. Like we missed the very first seconds of the game, and I think they had like 5-man sack top lane, and basically like got that first kill, and that's that blue peak. And then after that, Team Dark were just like, all right, let's just throw everything in bottom lane and continually try and go aggressive against Zero and Round. And I think it worked very well. They gave themselves the lead. They were able to kind of convert things and take steps forward into the game. Team Dark, we'll have to end up seeing who their next opponents are gonna be. But let's take a look at the play of the game first of all before we get there. There's quite a few fights that could be play of the game from the Team Dark side of things.
Okay, let's take a look. Okay, this one, of course, this is the one where they infiltrate the enemy base and they are able to push this team fight up to taking the tower down. Isn't this the one where Stink ends up running into the same bush where Yuzi was?
Well, we're not going to show that bit. That one wasn't play of the game. Nevertheless, a pretty convincing performance by Team Dark. I think if you excuse the last couple of minutes of the game where I just got a little bit crazy. I think everybody's had those games where you're like, we're so far ahead, all we've got to do is just try and hit them with our wallets and just like try and close the game. I think in general, I'm excited to see who is going to be the MVP of this series. We had some different strategies coming through out of the bottom lane. We had some engages, we had some Seraphine play, and I'm pretty sure it is going to be Juicy that is the MVP of the series. Great first game on that Seraphine.
I loved it. I think this Seraphine was so important for the win for Team Dark. And I also like that taking notes day after day, they're not conforming with what they know. They see something that's working and they make it work for themselves. So they're not afraid to adapt to new things. And of course, if we keep seeing this Seraphine from Team Dark, I think they can get far away from competition if they keep working on these little mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the building blocks are there for them to kind of fix some of the issues that we've seen. And I've always kind of felt like it's so much easier to work with an aggressive team than to try and teach a passive team aggression.
Yeah.
Like you hard to turn that dial up on aggression. You can always turn it down a little bit, but harder to turn it up. So I think when we see plays like that out of sync and one mid, the stronger the rest of the team and the foundation of like teamwork gets, I think the better they'll end up looking. And they've got some time. They've got some time still to be working through scrims. And of course, there's only one team are going to advance from the open bracket playoffs to the finals, and everybody else will be playing in the last chance qualifier later on this year. So, I mean, they got plenty of time to fix the things that we've seen from them and get going. But I like what I've seen. I'd like to see a little bit cleaner, perhaps.
Maybe a 2-1, for example. I would like to see that in the next series coming up now, because I feel like every time we've got a 2-0, I'm like, I want something else.
Yeah, I always want to see more and see more from our players. I always want to hear more from our players, and I'll put some respect on Mario for his Varus performance and also the Ashe in Game 1. Let's hear from Mario, who's with Stuart for an interview.
Thank you very much, Stress. I'm indeed joined by Mario. Mario, congratulations. After a difficult day yesterday, you were able to bounce back and beat WYG today. How are you and the team feeling after that victory?
To be honest, like for yesterday, I think that more or less we lost because of the underestimating of our opponent. And the other thing was the meta change. We had the meta change on Wednesday. It was an update, a big update between many nerfs and buffs. And we weren't really sure about our drafts, so that's why we had a really bad draft yesterday. We're deciding which was the priority of which champion, which is the best champion to suit for our blue side, even red side, and yeah.
No, I mean, that's completely fair. I mean, it's really hard when you only got one day to practice for a new patch. But speaking of changes, we saw a little bit of a change by yourself and Juicy down in the duo lane. We saw you play Ashe in kind of a more support role and Juicy on the Seraphine as well. Was you taking some of the pages out of Formulations book from yesterday, or is that something you practiced a little bit?
That was something we practiced for actually it's for some days already. We've played that in Purge tournament as well. Yeah, and you could see as my runes for Ashe, it's not actually a normal 80 carry rune. It's for support, and yeah.
That's completely fair. I mean, you came out on top in the end as well. And talking about the next series as well, we got Na'Vi versus Aphelion as well. What's your thoughts about that series? Oh, it seems like we've lost.
We lost Mario, unfortunately, but great to hear a little bit about the Ashe. Interesting build that I want to play. I'm going to play that. I need somebody to come support me or carry me from support. So yeah, hit me up on Twitter if you're anywhere around Diamond Yellow and want to carry me. Anyway, that's enough of me doing self-service to try and get myself, inflated into masters, as all of the pros are complaining about. I'll be one of those players. I'll be one of those players getting inflated up there. Don't you worry about it. Nothing inflated about a 2-0 win for Team Dark against WYGers. Really fun series coming up next between Na'Vi and Aphelion. Carmine, before we head to a break, what are your initial thoughts on that series? Na'Vi, Aphelion, who's going to win?
Na'Vi.
Na'Vi, easy answer. I think we're all agreed on that, but let's see whether Na'Vi can actually close it out. We'll be back in 3.5 minutes for Na'Vi versus Aphelion.